Hi guys, this is gsndon.com and I'm here with the Samsung Galaxy A7 2016 version for a full review. We're dealing here with a phablet that was launched in December 2015 and it's part of the new Galaxy A series, and it borrows some Galaxy S6 elements, but it's a big upgrade from the predecessor, however not in all the sections. For example, the CPU is only a modest upgrade. So priced at about $570, the Samsung Galaxy A7 2016 has some extra glass to show off. It has a 2.5D Gorilla Glass 4 panel at the back, 2.5D Gorilla Glass 4 panel at the front. It's true, they look stylish. They're complemented by a metal frame that resembles the Galaxy S6 quite a bit, especially in the lower area. This model measures 7.3mm in thickness, which is about 1mm thicker than the predecessor, the Galaxy A7, which was 6.3mm in waistline. It's also a pretty impressive 31 grams heavier than its predecessor, but it's slimmer and at the same time heavier than the Galaxy Note 5, which has got to count for something. Since it has so much glass in the chassis, it's unavoidably slippery, but it has a premium build, it's quite solid, has comfy buttons to the press, and it has some very clear and positive Galaxy S6 influences. The finishing of the sides feels a bit raw, in my vision at least, and this model comes in gold, white or pink. It's solid, it's pretty, it's premium, but it's also slippery, and an advantage would be that it's more compact than the iPhone 6s Plus, for example. Now, if you want to talk about the hardware, I'm going to start off with the display, a 5.5-incher Super AMOLED Full HD with excellent colors, and the video app right here, which as usual is put to the test, and includes a pop-up play option, also the ability to pinch to zoom. Pop-up play works like this, allows you to do anything else while you watch the video, and you probably noticed we have excellent colors, hugely vivid colors, but not oversaturated. And they pop up. This is a bright screen with very deep blacks, good contrast, it even behaves well in full sunlight. The view angles are quite wide, although not IPS wide, and the screen is not hugely reflective, which is always good news. Now let's see what's happening with our tests for the very same screen. So this is the Pental Matrix diamond shaped pixel setup for the screen. So Pental Matrix diamond shaped, and the lux meter test showed us a value of 504 lux units, which means we're doing quite great for a mid-ranger. It surpasses the Samsung Galaxy S5, the Samsung Galaxy S6 indoor test, but it's below the iPhone 6, iPhone 6s and the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. There are also special settings for the display, and those include, we got font, one-handed operation, smart stay, and the main one, screen mode, which includes adaptive display, AMOLED cinema for a bit of oversaturation, photo for more realistic, and basic, which is a more bland approach if you want. So overall, excellent screen, not much to object here, and the brightness is excellent. Now, as far as the other aspects of the hardware are concerned, we got an octa-core Snapdragon 615 processor here, which is kind of old because this CPU was launched in February 2014, but it's accompanied by enough RAM, I would say 3GB of RAM on this handset. There's also 16GB of storage, of which 10.8GB are available for use. We also have a microSD card slot that supports up to 128GB. There's no lag, the interface is quite fluid, performance is also quite good, and when I say performance I mean regular use, because the benchmarks aren't exactly very high. When it comes to the games, you should be able to run pretty much anything. You can run Asphalt 8, the latest FIFA games, you can run Riptide GP2 without a problem, and we even played the latest NBA live title, which worked fine. Now let's see how this game looks like on this AMOLED screen. It's our usual benchmark game, which can be tweaked with special settings, and apparently we exited the app, no problem. Here we are again. Intuitive controls, nice looking water, the fluid looks great on this AMOLED screen, nice speed sensation, good performance, responds well to the input. So gaming is certainly no problem on this mid-ranger. So once again, no lag, good performance, and the benchmarks are a bit modest here, and let's have a quick look. So these are some results that we scored. Overall, we are at about the same level as the HTC One M8, the Samsung Galaxy S5 and the Asus Zenfone 2. So we can compare ourselves, and when I say ourselves I mean this model, to the flagships from 2 years ago or the Zenfone models from last year. Games are okay, and the temperature we measured after playing 15 minutes of the game Riptide GP2 goes up to 37.5 degrees Celsius, so there's no overheating here, which is always good news. Now if you want to talk about acoustics, this is the speaker you're looking for, this is the player you're looking for, typical for Samsung. The options are the usual ones. We got play speed, we got sound alive with the equalizer based on genre settings, these two knobs for bass, treble, instrument and vocals, extra channels, 3D bass clarity and all that. You know all of them from previous models ever since the Galaxy S6 if I'm not mistaken. Plus adapt sound, sound alive and tube amp, but now let's actually listen to a tune before judging. So you can probably hear through this review that the bass has quite a punch, we got good volume, clear sound, it's quite loud, this speaker, and we got excellent keyboard, so if you have songs with a ton of keys, scenes and all that, you'll hear them perfectly. Now the headphones, let's check those out. They're pretty much the same that you got last year with the Galaxy A series from 2015, and the Galaxy S5 was also probably similar. They're comfy, they have a plastic body, but the kind of more premium plastic, so to say. They sit well in the ear. They have this remote here with 3 buttons, and let's see what else. They have excellent volume. They're actually too loud, I would say, as a compliment maybe. They offer excellent isolation from the outside environment, and they have excellent bass, so what more could you want? We also have FM radio available here, and we use the decibel meter. And let's see what happened when we did that. The decibel meter was as usual involved with the lower area speaker, and we got to 84.5 decibels, which means we beat the iPhone 6s Plus and the Huawei Mate 8, and this means that the volume is quite good. Now as far as the camera is concerned, at the back there's a 30 megapixel shooter with LED flash, f1.9 aperture and optical image stabilization. You can double tap the home button to start up the camera, starts up quite fast, while the app usually isn't exactly that fast when started from the software option. We have a 5 megapixel front shooter for the selfies, also with f1.9 aperture, and sometimes the touch experience of the camera UI registers some bugs in that it responded randomly to my presses, wouldn't want to focus, or simply went to the zoom mode for no reason. And these are the main capture modes. We got Auto, Pro, Panorama, Continuous Shot, HDR, Night and Anti-Fog, which is new, haven't seen it before. Pro does not include the same features as the models from last year. We only have white balance, ISO, exposure and metering, but you'll probably be using the Auto mode the most. You can set up the resolution from here, mess with a few more settings here, and you can film tops in Full HD. I would say that the speed of the focusing and the picture taking is mid-level, so not very fast, but also not very slow. Okay, time to check out the gallery. As usual, we've taken maybe too many shots, actually an exaggerated number if you look here. That's simply because we attended a local event of the Samsung Galaxy S7 launch, and we took a ton of shots indoors in a club where there was too much blue lighting, and as such some of the camera feeds may have been sacrificed, but if you focus properly and use the flash you can get some pretty good shots. Once again, blue lighting in a club can spook any smartphone out there, and this is no exception. If you're patient enough to focus and use the flash, you'll be happy with the results. We have some blurry captures during the night, like these ones here, not very clear, some yellowish shots, and the street lights are a bit too big for my liking compared to other models out there. Then we took a selfie, which I find to be quite pleasing, minus the artificial look of the skin, and then we got indoors for a few cocktails, which look fantastic. If you look at the texture, the clarity and all that, it was a sunny day, bright windows, and things look great. And then you'll probably drool on these burgers that have an excellent texture yet again. So if you're planning on doing some gourmet shots during the day, you'll be happy with the quality indoors. We got outside to take shots of graffiti, and here it was all excellent. Excellent clarity, white balance, focus, excellent HDR. Colors were realistic, particularly the blues. I like those. Panorama seems generous at first. It's certainly clear, but the resolution is kind of modest, 7376 over 608. And then we tested the zoom, so regular shot. There are some ducks here, and then we zoomed in. Ducks looking good, and at maximum level only a smidge of blurriness happens. One more selfie during the day. I would call it a bit underwhelming compared to my expectations. And once again, remember, excellent hues of blue. Great close-ups, which I should be able to find here. Those buttons, that locket, and some toys in the park. Things to remember: good clarity, close-ups and colors, and we also play with the focus with some flowers to excellent results. So not much to complain about. This is no Galaxy S6 camera, but for a mid-ranger it's quite good. I would put it on the same level as the Galaxy S5 and HTC One M8. And since I'm making comparisons, I would place it below the Huawei Honor 6 Plus and above the Asus Zenfones. It's also pretty much on par with the Huawei P8. Now if you want to discuss video capture, well, let's see some videos here. We tested the image stabilization with this clip. And we shot full HD video, 17 megapixel bitrate, 30 frames per second. And the microphone is great, I have to say that, so if you're planning on taking this model to a concert, be my guest. There's some focus loss indoors, while outside during the optical image stabilization test, I would say this was a so-so test. Expected more, but got pretty decent stabilization. At least there's no focus loss. Now let's see an actual video, one where not everything is shaky. We got a good clarity, pretty good colors. And when we zoom in, there's not a big quality loss, which is nice. But when it comes to low light capture, things get pretty bad. I remember that the Samsung Galaxy A5 from last year filmed in an excellent fashion. It totally impressed me, and I feel that the jump at this model is not that big, and I mean at the evolution from the Galaxy A5 to the A7 new generation isn't exactly huge, especially since we get the bells and whistles of the optical image stabilization. And that's what the indoor filming looks like. Once again, a crowded club, lots of blue light, and on this screen it may look great, but on the PC you can see there's a bit of fuzziness around the edges. People's faces are clear though, so that's got to count for something. And the video capture is below the capacity of the latest iPhones, but it beats the Asus Zenfone models from last year and the Huawei P8 Lite, for example. So I'm happy with this camera. For a mid-ranger with high-end aspirations, it's quite fine. Now let's test the web browser. And here we go, gsmdome.com, pretty comfy keyboard and well spaced. Not exactly a fast browser, you don't have to believe my word. You just have to look at the benchmark results in BrowserMark, SunSpider and Velamo, where they're terrible, they're quite low, so unimpressive browser skills for this model. When it comes to connectivity, things are looking fine. We get a dual SIM setup here. We have nano SIM card slots, 4G LTE of the category 4, GPS and GLONASS, NFC, Bluetooth 4.1, Wi-Fi Direct, micro USB, and there's Wi-Fi 802.11 ABGN dual band. Now, if you want to talk about the phone calls, we have, let's say, a mid-level volume, so not exactly loud. The signal is good, clarity is also quite good. And when we did the download and upload test via Wi-Fi, I was totally impressed by the speeds. And this is why we got to 31 megapixel in download, which has got to be a record for all of our tests. Speaking of tests and speaking of records, the battery handled itself like a champ, and we got to a huge 12 hours and 40 minutes of continuous HD video playback using a 3300 mAh unit that also supports fast charge. So this value here beats the Samsung Galaxy Note 5, the iPhone 6 Plus, which is an excellent result for, once again, a mid-ranger with high-end aspirations. In PC Mark, 8 hours and 19 minutes, we beat the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, Galaxy Note 5 and Lenovo Vibe X3, once again great, and the charging is also not too shabby, at 2 hours and 14 minutes. Of course, the usual power saving options are here, and those include, let's see, we got power saving mode and ultra power saving mode if you want to use monochrome version of the interface. Now it's time to talk about the software. As you can see, we're running a device that has TouchWiz applied on top of Android 5.1.1 Lollipop. We got this panel here for Flipboard. Of course, it's optional. If you want to get rid of it, you can. The widgets look fine as usual. Combination of the stock ones and the Samsung ones with a lot of transparency. We have a split screen option where you can use two apps. So I can use an app like this and I can use Chrome here. And if I want to, I can transfer content from one side to the other. I can copy text or pictures from one window to the other. So it's good to have split screen on this handset. Other than that, we got the carousel multitasking. And when you see this symbol here, it means you can use two apps in the split screen mode. You can close all of them if you want. The drop down area is also typical for a Samsung device from the past, let's say, 2 years. And let's see what else. If you go to the settings area, you'll find it crowded, but luckily there is a quick settings area with the favorites which you can edit. Comes in very handy. So connectivity options, multimedia options, and including motions and gestures, wallpaper, themes, lock screen and security. And this is where you can actually see how good the fingerprint scanner is. Okay. Done, and now I can only unlock the device using my fingerprint. So check this out. Pretty straightforward, pretty fast. Only the setup is long here. Other than that, I'm happy with the security provided by the fingerprint scanner and how fast it is. You can also sign into web services by using the same fingerprint scanner. And now it's time to talk about apps. We got 37 pre-installed apps. 10 of them come from Google. And 5 of them come from Microsoft. We got Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote and Skype. And then we got the others like the S Planner from Samsung, which is a calendar that also shows weather and birthdays and things like that. We got S Health, that will show you calories, steps and water consumption and more items. And the Smart Manager, which handles your tasks and security and things like that. So overall, not a big bloatware, which is always good news. Time for the verdict, time from this review to end. So the Samsung Galaxy A7 2016 version is an elegant and premium phone, has a premium design, a very bright screen with not much to object about its color choice and contrast, doesn't have any lag, offers okay performance, runs any games, has good acoustics, takes some nice pictures as you saw in the gallery before, and other than that, the video capture is at about let's say a typical mid-ranger, not more than that. And the battery is simply great, perhaps the best battery for a mid-ranger we've seen in quite a while. On the con side, we had that touchscreen bug in the camera interface where it didn't register my command. The low light capture could be better, frankly speaking. The benchmarks are kind of low and the CPU is kind of old. There's focus loss during the video capture and the price is honestly quite big. This phone should cost at about 400 bucks or something like that. Well, it's closer to 600 nowadays, 500 and something. So basically, if you look at the Lenovo Vive X3, which we recently tested, it's cheaper than this model. It's more performant and it has higher end features and it's able to do better capture. So it's superior to this and still it's cheaper. So if this model was cheaper, we'd like it more. But in the end, you're stuck, let's say, with a great battery, pretty good camera, premium design, a big screen that's bright and crisp, excellent acoustics, and it's everything that a mid-ranger has to be except cheaper. So overall, this is all we had to say at gsndon.com. Solid mid-ranger, but too pricey with excellent multimedia experience. This is it from us. Bye bye.